it's Michelle, and today I've got for you an essential level Pilates mat workout. So we're going to get kind of back to the basics, talk about our breath, our positioning, as well as getting a really good workout at the same time. So this is perfect if you're a beginner or if you're even a seasoned practitioner who wants to kind of get back to the basics a little bit. Okay, so we don't need any props, just you and your mat. So let's get started. We're going to sit on our mat with our legs out in front of us. Okay, so knees bent, feet flat onto your mat. And then you really want to think about sitting right on top of your sits bone. So not tucked behind, not kind of jutting forward, but just nice and vertical with the back of your pelvis. Okay, rest your hands down on the mat, and we're going to start just with a little bit of breathing. Okay, so a good way to breathe, to really get the full benefits out of connecting your breath with your movement, is to think about inhaling through your nose and then exhaling out as if you're blowing out a candle. So a little bit of purse to your lips. Yeah? Now it's okay if you're not breathing like this all the time, but it's nice to kind of come back to it every now and again during your workout. Okay? So let's just take a few of those deep breaths here. So as you inhale, feel that air going down and back into your rib cage. And then as you exhale, feel a gentle drawing in of your abdominals right towards that belly button. Yeah, let's do that maybe 2 more times. Feel like you get taller on that breath in. And then like your spine gets a supportive hug from your abdominals as you exhale. Okay, now this time take your breath in. When you exhale, let's slide your fingers along the mat, go into a rounded back, and just take a nice little stretch over your legs. Okay, now take a few of those breaths here in this flexion. Good. Let's maybe do that 2 more times. Feel like your abs are drawing away from your legs. Exhale, abdominals really shortening. Do that one last time. Make sure your shoulders aren't holding on to any extra tension. And on this last exhale, use it to bring yourself back upright. Good. All right, let's try breathing like that one more time. Breath in, and then as you exhale, draw the abs back as the spine folds forward. Yeah, take those big breaths in and out here. Kind of helps to be flexed forward. It helps us to feel the air going into the back of the body, and then helps us to feel those abdominals drawing away from the floor. So just check in with what you feel on each of those breaths. And then on your very last exhale, come all the way back up to sitting. All right. Now we're going to take that forward fold and advance it a little bit. So we're going to start going into the back of our body now. So we're going to do an exhale to fold forward. Now I want you to come right back up tall. Put your fingertips behind you. Breathe in and just push into the floor, almost like you could just about lift your hips up, but not quite. You're going to lift your heart up to the ceiling, and then we're going to go the other way. So exhaling as we go forward into that nice reach, and then spin the fingertips behind you, push into the ground, and try to stretch your chest up. Okay, let's do that 2 more times. So exhaling helps us to find that forward curve in the spine, and then inhaling naturally helps us to expand and open up into that thoracic spine. Good. Do that 1 more time. Folding forward, and then really put pressure into the floor with your fingers and open through that collarbone. And then go ahead and relax. Okay, so now that we've connected to our breath a little bit, now we're going to put our hands behind our head and do those same 2 spinal movements. So now we don't have our hands on the floor to support us, so we have to use our muscles a little bit more. Okay, if it gets to be too much, go back to hands on the ground. So hands will be behind your head. I like to think fingertips rather than like palms. Yeah. Now use the muscles on the back of your neck to push your head into your hands. You should feel these muscles working. Okay, now exhale, same pattern through the breath as we fold forward. Now your chin should never touch your chest. And then as you inhale, you're going to go back the other direction. Push, push, push that head into your hands. Good, do that a few more times. There's lots of energy in between the fingertips and the skull. Yeah, it's like a tug of war. The head is trying to win the tug of war. Oh, and then the hands are trying to win. Yeah, let's do that 2 more times. Now the chin wants to stay away from the chest. If it touches, you're going to get way too much of a flexion through your neck. So we don't need to be tugging on our neck. We really want our upper back to be the mover here. Okay? All right, take one last big look up and back. Okay, now stack up to vertical, and we're going to take some rotation. So I want you to breathe in and just twist to one side. Open your back elbow. You can try to look to where that back elbow is, and then face forward. Good. Other direction. Inhale, feel like you're spinning up and away from the floor, and then exhale, return. Good. Do that a few more times. So simple little movement. But that is a lot of work for our obliques, yeah, to twist our rib cage over the pelvis. Good. Now make sure your knees aren't marching up or down or twisting or dropping on the mat. So legs are staying really stable here. All right, now twist to one side and stay there. I want you to leave your body how it is and just extend your arms in those two directions, one front, one back, squeezing those triceps. Come back to your head and then face forward. Do that again. So we're holding that twisted position, finding a reach. Maybe our twist gets even deeper. Replace the hands and then face front. Okay, let's do that one more time. Leave the legs nice and stable, heavy on the mat. Return and then face front. Good. One last time. Feel like you're doing this in a straight backed chair, so you're not slumping away from your legs. And then rest your arms down. Whew. It's a lot of work just to sit up tall. Okay, very nice. All right, so now we're going to continue with that twist movement, but we're going to leave our arms out to the side the whole time. Okay, so thumbs to the ceiling, arms reaching. Take a breath in. Now I want you to twist to the right. You're going to let your left arm kind of come across your midline just a little bit. So your arms end up in kind of an L shape. And then inhale and face back front. Yeah, go the other way. So let's exhale now on these twists. Just kind of feel the difference. So before we were breathing in as we were twisting, and now we're breathing out. Yeah, just the mechanics of what muscles are working when you're breathing will kind of change up the feeling of this a little bit. Okay, now twist to the right and stay. I want you to see if you can do little pulses going even deeper. Release and go further. Release and go into your deepest twist yet. And then arms to a T, face front. Other way. Exhale. And then face front, yeah? So feel like you're blowing out 3 little birthday candles, one after the other. 1, 2, 3, and then back front. Okay, let's do that one more time. Feel like you get taller on each twist, not shorter. Face your body front, and then rest your arms down. Oh, very nice, you guys. Okay, so now we're going to get into some flexion of the spine. We did a lot of upright, so now we're going to start rolling away from our legs. So I want you to grab onto the backs of your thighs. This is a really good kind of supportive position. So you can use your arms so that our hip flexors aren't doing all of the work. Okay, so now grab onto your legs. I want you to just sit up super tall. Feel a little pull with your fingertips to help you get lifted. Now reach one arm up to the ceiling. Pull even harder with that hand on your leg and see if you can get a little upper back extension and then replace the hand down. Yes, so just like we did before when we had our hands on the mat, except now we don't have that same help, and then return. Yeah, do that a few more times. So before we start rounding our spine, I just want to get a little more opening into the upper back. Yeah, feel those muscles all around your shoulder blades, and then lower down. Okay, do that one more time. Use the pull from the bottom hand to help lengthen the front of the body. One last time. Lift. Now again, our head isn't collapsing onto our shoulders. Almost feel like you have a grapefruit like right on the back of your head. So you can kind of rest your head against that curve without actually touching your head to the top of your shoulders. Okay, so now keep that hold, and I just want you to lift your feet, your toes off of the ground, and then place them back down. Good, do that again. So feel what muscles are working to get that ankle action. Yeah, so heels are dug in deep into the floor. So these muscles right at the front of your shins, right up at the tops of your feet are working. Yeah, having mobile and strong feet and ankles is going to serve us really, really well. Yeah, anytime we walk and take a step, which is a lot, we have to use these muscles. So good to kind of train them for our daily life. All right, now leave your toes down on the mat, and I want you to roll back, tuck your tail under, almost like your low back is trying to look at the floor, okay? So like the waistband of your pants almost touches, and then you're gonna sit back up tall. Yeah, do that again. Now you can use your arms as much as you need to. You can really hold on and use your arm muscles like crazy, or you can have a little bit of a lighter grip and you'll feel your abdominals have to do a little bit more. Yeah, so just kind of play around with that. Leave your toes kind of suction cup to the mat. So now we're using the muscles under your arches to keep the foot planted. Yeah, so we're using the bottom of the foot, whereas to lift, we're using more the top. Okay, now roll back and stay. We're going to do both of those foot actions. So you're going to stay here with your spine, lift your toes up, replace them back down, and then sit back up tall. Do that again. Exhale, roll back. Inhale, lift your toes. Don't change your spine. Put them down, and then come back up. Yeah, do that a few more times. If you're finding you don't even need your hands at all, you're welcome to reach them out in front of you. So it's all abdominals and hip flexors, keeping you here. Get as much of your foot off and as much as your foot back on as you can. All right, now get back here and stay, and we're gonna do one foot at a time. Now make sure this doesn't make your hips go wobbling. We're gonna lift one foot and then lower. So they're just kind of passing each other reciprocally as one is coming up, the other is going down. Yeah, now kind of find the speed that works for you. Feel that touch and then release. Good. Now this movement isn't traveling up into our pelvis, just in our ankles and our knees. 3, 2, 1. Place both feet down and then come all the way up tall. So nice, you guys. All right, let's lay down on our backs now. So lay down, get comfy. All right, so we're gonna work on a little bit of pelvic placement, and then we're gonna go into a nice little ab series, okay? So the position of the pelvis is good to kind of understand before we start working our abdominals, okay? So I want you to have those feet hip width apart, nice and heavy. Feel your skull, your lower ribs, and your sacrum nice and grounded on the mat. Okay, now you can have your hands on your hip bones if that helps you to understand what your hips are doing. Okay, so now all I want you to do is rock your pelvis forward and back, and you can make that as big of a motion as you would like. So make it really big and kind of exaggerated. Yeah, so like if you were laying on a clock face, you would be tipping your weight to 12 and then to 6, back and forth. Okay, and what that does is it should create a gap between your lower back and the mat when you tip away, and then you tuck under till your low back almost touches. Okay, now we're not smushing our spine into the floor, we're just drawing our pelvis closer to our ribs. Okay, now start to make that movement a little bit smaller and see if it can come from just your abdominals. So like shot of Novocaine in your glutes, let them totally go to sleep, and see how much of that your abdominals can do. Okay, that's about the size of movement we want here, yeah? All coming from our abdominals. So when our spine has the gap between our low back and the mat, that's a neutral position. When our low back is tucked and almost touching, that's imprint, yeah? Think of it as like you're making an imprint down into the floor. Okay, so those are the two positions. Yes, we hopefully want to be in either one of those two during all of these abdominal movements we're going to do. Okay, imprint is a little bit more supportive. Neutral is a little bit more challenging depending on what exercise we're doing. Okay, so I'm going to give you suggestions of where to be with your pelvis, but if for you being tucked feels better or neutral feels better, you go with what is working best for you. Okay, so from here, we're going to put this with our breath to kind of connect it a little bit, okay? So arms are going to go on the mat. Start in neutral with that space under your lower back. Now I want you to breathe out, use your abs, tuck under, and pull the pelvis towards your ribs. Now see if you can hold here as you inhale. And then as you exhale, release your tail back into that neutral. Do that again. So there's 4 breaths. I breathe out and I use my abs to shorten, Find that lower back almost to the mat. Now hold here. That's tricky to take a breath without letting this go, and then release it back. Good. Do that 2 more times. Breathing out through your mouth. Feel that belly button drawing closer to the floor. Inhale and hold it, and then exhale, let it go. Okay, now let's challenge this a little bit by adding some leg action. So it's going to challenge that stability of that position even more. So inhale to prepare. Exhale, you're going to tuck under. Now, don't change your spine. I want you to just pick your right leg up to tabletop. Ooh, so now we've got a lot more weight to carry, and then place your foot down. Now stay imprinted, don't change it. Lift your other leg up, and then replace it down, and then you can release back to neutral. Ooh, that's a little more endurance for those muscles staying there longer. Let's do that again. Exhale to scoop. Now don't let your pelvis rock as you lift one leg and then the other. So if your pelvis was a boat, we want it to be on like a calm ocean. Yeah, not a rocky, wavy one. And then release. Good. Let's do that one more time. Scooping under. Now remember, it's not the glutes, it's the front of the body, those deep abdominal muscles. Good. You can kind of roll through your feet to smooth out that landing, and then make the space between your low back and the mat. Okay, so good. I think we're ready to advance it even more. Okay, so now once we tuck into our imprint, lift one leg up. Now the other leg is also going to come up. Don't let your back arch away from the mat. Replace one foot down, replace the other foot, and then once both feet are down, find your neutral. Ooh, that was tricky. Okay, do that again. Low back to the floor, almost to the floor, I should say. Now lift one leg. Don't let this change as you lift to both, and then march one foot down, and then the other foot, and release. Okay, let's do that 2 more times. So by shortening these abdominals, you're making things a lot more under control for those abdominals. And then replace, and then neutral. All right, one more time. We're going to be so good at this now that we've really drilled it into our brains. And then down, down, and then release. Whew, so good. All right, so now we're going to start doing some of our abdominal exercises. I mean, that was an exercise, but that was more a lesson in what our pelvis is doing, okay? So now, arms are going to start down, okay? We're going to see if we can stay neutral this whole entire time through this next exercise. So that's tricky because we're going to be flexing our upper back, okay? So I want you to pretend in this little gap beneath your spine, pretend like there's a little soap bubble under that space. And I don't want you to pop that bubble the whole time, okay? So that's going to be tricky. So no smashing it. Arms are down. I just want you to hover them off as you breathe in. Now, I want you to take your head, and I just want you to nod. Don't even take your head off of the mat. I just want you to kind of say yes with your skull, okay? So kind of lift your chin, lower your chin, okay? So you feel that action, how your skull is kind of rolling on that first vertebrae of your neck. Yeah, that motion of the chin coming down, we want to happen every time before our head comes off the mat, okay? If we don't do that, we're probably going to end up with our head staying behind, and then we get all this tension in our neck, which doesn't feel good, okay? So as I hover my arms, you're going to say yes, drop your chin. Once you've dropped it as far as you can, you're going to reach your fingertips towards your feet and round your shoulder blades up. Now you can check, did you smash that bubble? I hope not. Breathe in and hold. And then as you exhale, you're going to melt back down to the mat with your head and arms. Okay, that was a lot. Let's try that again. Inhale, I drop my chin, hover my arms. Exhale, my abs get shorter. My shoulders roll up and forward. Now take a breath in. Check out your legs, your hips. Make sure they're in good alignment. And then come back down. Whew. Okay, let's do that a few more times. Nodding our chin. We bring the weight of our head up and forward. Make those shoulder blades come away from your spine. And then lower back down. Whew. Okay, one more time. Inhale, slide the back of your head along the mat, roll forward. You should have about the width of a fist between your chin and your chest, and then you lower back down. Whew, that was so good. All right, now we're going to progress that by staying there longer. So we're going to go into our hundreds exercise from here. So I want you to inhale, hover, nod the chin, exhale. Now start breathing in, and I want you to pump your hands up and down, almost as if you have little teeny tiny bongo drums under your hands, and you're doing a really concise beat on each little pump. Okay, now we're breathing in for 5 counts and then exhaling out for 5 counts. Okay, now if your neck is not feeling so good, take one of your hands behind your head. That's a choice. Or if you want to still pump both of your arms, just rest your head on the mat. And you actually get quite a good abdominal exercise even with your head on the floor. Okay, let's do that 2 more times. And then exhale. So our ribs are expanding so we can breathe, but our abs aren't losing that connection. Now pause with the arms, reach a little further, and then lay your body back down. Whew. Okay, now we've done the hundreds. So that's exciting. That's a good milestone. All right, so now that was a lot of kind of upper back flexing off of the mat. Okay, so now we're going to use our hands behind our head just to give our neck a little bit of support. Okay, so take your fingertips behind your head. Make sure you're still in that nice neutral. Take a breath in. Now we're going to come up to that same ab prep position that we did with our arms long. So everything's the same. My hands are just behind my head, and then we'll inhale and lower down. Yeah, so just 2 breaths in either direction. Exhale to flex forward, and then inhale as your head finds the mat. Okay, now it's not going to be a massive curl. So my bottom ribs are staying on the floor. If you're curling up super high, there's no way to do it without smashing your low back to the floor. Yeah, and it's not really doing you any good in this instance. So we want to keep this position so we're really using that whole kind of canister of our ab muscles in the best way. Okay, now let's lift up and stay, testing our pelvic stability a little bit. Can you hold here and lift one leg to tabletop and then come down? Now can you lift the other leg up to tabletop and then put it down, lift a little higher, and then set your head on the mat? Whew. Let's do that again. Exhale. So now my low back stays neutral, my rounded shoulders come forward, and then everything stays solid as those legs lift. Try to always lift a little more before you come down. Whew. Let's do that one more time. Exhale, curl up. If it gets to be too much, you can always do these with your head on the mat, and it'll still be awesome. Okay, curl higher, and then lower down. Whew. All right. Now, lift your head up and stay. Let's work with just the right leg. I want you to lift the right leg up. So my foot is pointed. Now I'm going to flex my ankle and kick my leg forward, point it, and come back. So remember those ankle movements we did earlier? Yeah, so our ankle should feel nice and primed and ready to move. Let's do that 2 more times. Oops, I did it wrong. Flex, and then point. Kick out, and then come in, and then rest your body down. Whew. Staying up there a lot longer. Let's do that again. Flex up, left leg lifts. Now I send my heel like I'm trying to touch the wall, and then I come back. Yeah, so this is really good to practice moving our limbs without changing what's happening in our core. Last 2, last 1, and then set your foot down. Ooh, so good. All right, final challenge. We're going to do 1 on either leg, alternating, keeping our shoulders off of the mat. Let's try, because I know you can do it. We're going to try. Set your head down at any time if you need to. Here we go. Exhale, my chin nods. I round forward. Pick your right leg up. You're going to kick it out and in 1 time, and then switch. Lift, flex, and reach. In and lower. Good. Lift, reach, in and lower. 3 more times. Send that leg as low as you can without your back changing. Up, out, in. Last time. Up, kick it long. Now always lift a little higher and then release. Whew. All right. Now head is going to stay down. Legs are going to go up straight to the ceiling. Okay. So now, this might not be comfortable for everybody to have our legs all the way straight. That's okay. If that's you, just soften your knees a little bit. We're going to go into that imprinted spine so we have a little bit more abdominal support. for the spine. Okay, so now our arms are down by our sides. You can have them kind of close into your hips, legs as straight as is comfortable. Now I want you to exhale, and you're just going to split one leg forward. So you end up in this scissor position. Now again, your knees can be a little soft. And then inhale, your legs are going to pass by each other to split the other way. Good. So remember, I'm imprinted. So I'm drawing my low back in the direction of the floor. Now this is actually really hard to have our head down. Yeah, you might feel this a little bit lower in your abdominals as opposed to kind of higher up when we were flexing forward. Okay, now we're going to do 2 little pulses of the legs in that split. So once you get there, you're going to pulse 2 times. 1, 2, inhale and switch. It's like you're pulsing away from the center. Good. So my top leg pulses up, up. My bottom leg pulses down, down. Do that 2 more times. Make sure your shoulders aren't caving away from the floor. Inhale and reach both legs up. And then put your feet down on the mat. Oh, okay. Now, because you guys are so good, we're going to do that same exercise with our head off of the mat. Give it a try and then lay your head down if it's like, no way, not happening, okay? So we go, ankles up, imprint, hands to the head. I flex up as much as I can. Now I split my legs as I exhale, inhale as they pass by one another. So now slow and steady. Watch your legs. Make sure they're brushing close to your midline. All right, almost done. Let's add those pulses. 1, 2, inhale, switch. Good. Get as much of those shoulder blades off the mat as you can. Elbows in the corners of your vision. Last 2. Last 1. Now reach your feet up. Flex a little higher. And then come all the way down. Whew. All right, you guys, that was some good ab work. All right. Okay, that was a lot of abdominals. So we're going to flip over onto our stomachs now to work the back of our body. Okay, want to be nice and even. So come onto your mat, grab some water if you need to. We're going to lay down on our stomachs, and we're going to have our hands out kind of in like a goalpost position. So my elbows are bent, my hands are on the mat. Now your legs are going to be externally rotated and about hip width apart. Okay, you don't want them to be too much wider. And then the closer they get, the more challenge this is on our lower back. So hip width is about perfect, okay? So now you're going to lay your body forward and kind of just hover your nose off of the mat, okay? Now from here, I don't want you to feel like your low back is short and crunched with your tail sticking up. So we want to do the opposite. You want to squeeze your glutes, press your hips into the floor, and feel a drawing up of your abdominals. Okay, now it doesn't mean your abs will leave the floor, but just energetically should feel like those abs are supporting your organs a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to push my feet into the floor, knees are straight. Now breathe all your air out and feel that gentle drawing up of your abdominals. Okay, now keep that feeling. You're going to inhale, lengthen up into a small upper back extension. So my bottom ribs are still on the mat. And then as you exhale, you're going to come right back down. Okay, now almost pretend like there's a little marble between your nose and the floor. You're going to roll that marble away just to get your neck kind of matching the line that our upper back is going to make. And then as we come down, it's like we catch that marble with our nose and roll it back under. Yeah, so there's a slight movement of the head just to anticipate what's happening in the upper back. It's kind of like when we were on our spine and we dropped our chin before we flexed forward. It's exactly like that. Just setting the head up for what's happening in the spine. Okay, do that one more time. Light pressure with those hands. Whew, and then come down. All right, now arms are going to reach by your sides. Okay, kind of tops of the hands on the floor, nose just off of the mat. Exhale to get ready. Now we're not going to be able to use our arms. Same back movement. Ready? So you're going to roll your shoulders back, face your palms in, lengthen your upper back, and then come down and rest your hands on the mat. Whew, so my shoulders are kind of rested. Do that again. Inhale, roll back and lift like someone's grabbing your hands and pulling, and then lower down. Good. Do that 2 more times. This is working the whole entire back of our body. Ooh, from the tip of our head all the way down to the legs. Ooh, last time. Big lift. Open the chest. Now remember, no skull on your shoulders. Have a grapefruit behind your neck. And then come down and relax. Whew. All right. Okay, so those were 2 ways to find a back extension. Now we're going to do a third way. This one may be the most challenging, but let's give it a try. You can always go back to any of the previous 2. So now you're going to overlap your hands. Rest your head down on them. Exhale and draw those abs up. Now you're going to leave your hands glued to your forehead. Arms come off of the mat with you. And then you're going to exhale and lower down. Yes, so now our back is really carrying the weight of the arms. And then lower down. Whew, so good. Let's do that 3 more times. Lower body is solid and connected. Last 2. Inhaling to lift. Last one. Big lift. And then come on down. Whew. Oh, okay. If those were hard, you're not alone. Yeah. We spend so much time forward. These muscles are sometimes a little less strong than they could be. So this is perfect to counteract that, all right? So now rest your head on your hands, and we're going to switch lanes. So now our lower body is going to do the lifting, okay? But through my abs, it's the same feeling of drawing up from the floor. Now, we're going to do some single leg lifts. So with one leg, I want you to feel like you slide your foot farther away from you along the mat to float it off the floor. Now, it's just going to be a couple of inches, and then you're going to rest it back down. Other side, I slide back, I hover, and then I replace down. Good. Now, if anything has to change in your spine, you've lifted too high. So if you feel like your belly button is getting smushed to the mat, if you feel like you're rolling to one side of your pelvis, it's too much. Yeah, so sometimes smaller is better. Okay, let's do that one last time. Feel like it's a slide out to lift up and then replace down. Okay, now double leg lift. So twice as much work. Here we go. Draw the abdominals up. Exhale, slide both those feet out long to hover and then replace back down. Yeah, this is not a lower back mobility exercise. So we don't want it moving all around. We want that low back stable so that we can feel those glutes and hamstrings. Good. Last 2. And last one. Oh, okay. All right. Now we're going to put those 2 together. We're going to put our third back extension movement with our hands on our head together with that double leg lift. You ready? Let's do it. So inhale. As I exhale, my elbows leave the floor, my legs leave the floor, and then I release down. Whew, let's do that again. So now the back extensors, the hip extensors, everything working, and then lower down. Yes, abs lift. Keep that lift through your center and then down. Yeah, so I'd rather you lift up less and feel more support from those abdominals away from the floor. All right, now lift up and stay. Hold here. I just want you to reach your arms out to a V in front of you. Bring them back to your head and then lower down. Oh, do that again. So now that's some endurance for those muscles to stay here longer. Hands to the head and then lower down. 2 more. We can do it. Almost done. Reach, return, and down. Last one. Up, out, in, and then lower. Oh, okay. Hands under your shoulders. Press back so your hips are on your heels. Ooh, okay, that was a lot of back being extended. So just take a second here to enjoy this rounded back. You can kind of shift your hips from heel to heel if that feels good, okay? Oh, all right, you guys. So we worked the front, we worked the back. Now let's work the sides of our body a little bit, specifically our hips, okay? So lay down on your side. Okay, so you're gonna have your head in your bottom hand, yeah? Rather than being propped up on your elbow, this kind of crushes our neck a little bit. Just point your elbow forward so your whole shoulder blade is long along the floor and you're totally reclined. Should feel good, okay? Now you're gonna reach both your legs out straight. If this bothers this hip, roll up a towel or something to cushion it. You can also bend your bottom knee if you find you're ever losing your balance, okay? So legs are long, ankles are together. So we're gonna do a bit of a side leg series, working on these glutes on the outsides of our legs, okay? Super important muscle. So I want you to feel like this oblique on your bottom side is drawing up away from the floor a little bit. Doesn't mean there's space necessarily, but just some energy under there. All right, so now we're gonna float our top leg up, just about to hip height, not too high. Flex your ankle, like we've done before, and then lower the leg down. Do that again. Point it to lift it, and then flex it to lower it. Yeah, so getting back to that nice ankle movement and coordinating it with this hip action. Okay, now when your leg lifts, it shouldn't cause this nice little lift under your waist to go away. That would mean that we're moving here, and I want you to move here from this hip joint. Okay, let's do that one more time. Now you want your kneecap pointing directly forward. Now let's point the foot, lift the leg, and hold. Now, don't move your top leg. Your bottom leg is going to come up to meet it, and then they're both going to come down together. Ooh, that's tricky. So now we're working inner thighs as well as outer thighs. Good. No collapsing here. Up, up, and then down together. Yeah, inhale, and then exhale. Good. Up, and then down. Okay, let's do that 2 more times. Long, long legs. Now, this time, once we set our feet down, we're going to keep the ankles together. Lift both legs, lower both legs. Yeah, try to have no space between those legs. It's almost like your bottom leg is like lifting the dead weight of your top leg. Yeah, so lots of inner thigh. Last 2. Good. Now lift up and pause. Set down just your bottom leg. And I want you to draw some teeny tiny circles with your top leg. Okay. Now feel your bottom leg pushing hard into the floor. So that outer thigh is working. Big breaths in and out. Now let's reverse and go the other way. Circle forward. If you're losing your balance, bend that bottom knee like we talked about. 3, 2, now reach the leg long and then place it all the way down. All right. Now, one last thing on this side before we switch. We're going to get a little bit of hip flexion and extension while working this top hip. So bend your bottom knee. I'm going to go into a little bit of a side kick. So I want you to hover to hip height, flex that ankle. Again, more work for that foot. We're going to brush our leg forward. Now, this doesn't mean round your back and tuck your tail. So leg is going to kick as far as you can go without changing your spine. So we're going to do 2 little pulsing kicks in front of us. Ready? Breathe in. And then exhale, you're going to point that foot and push it behind you. Now, don't be tempted to go up. Keep it hip height, like somebody's pulling your foot and stretching out your hip flexor. And then we'll do that again. Flex and do 2 pulses, inhaling on each one. Point and reach the leg behind. Okay, a couple more times. 1, further 2, and then big reach back. 2 more times. So this hip is going to be so well worked. We've worked the front, the back, the outside, the inside. 1 more time. Front, brush back, reach the leg in line with the spine, and then come down. All right. Bring your knees in, one on top of the other. Reach your hands forward and clasp them together. And we're just going to stretch this hip here for a second and the spine. So I want you to breathe in, open this arm like you're opening a book. Roll your top shoulder to the floor. Now you're not going to have a wall behind you, hopefully, and you're just going to leave that arm straight and try to put the back of your hand on the floor. Maybe it touches, maybe it doesn't. And then you're going to reach forward and put the hands together. Do that 2 more times. Now think of shooting your top knee forward as this arm goes back. Now remember, your arm's staying straight, and then forward. Do that 1 more time. Now hold here with your arms out in that T. If you want a little more hip stretch, swing your top foot forward and up towards that hand as far as it can comfortably go, just so you feel a stretch on that outside. Yeah, you can maybe turn the foot in so your pinky toe tries to get on the floor. Stretch that calf on the side. All right, bring your knees back together, close the arms, and then you're going to use your hands and stand yourself or sit yourself back up. All right, okay, let's even ourselves out on the other side. So, head in your hand, elbow points forward, both legs straight, hips stacked, little drawing up underneath. Okay, here we go. So we point the foot, flex it, and drop it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, really using the muscles on the top, the bottom of the foot, the front and the back of the shin to make that movement happen. Okay, a few more times. Now, going higher with this leg is not going to be beneficial. We want it small and parallel. That's what's going to work here. Okay, if you turn out, it's just going to be all your hip flexor. All right, now point it and lift it. Bottom leg comes to meet it. Both come down together. The movement is from your hip joints, not from your waist. Up, up, and then down. Good. Try to press your head down into that hand. Make sure the chin is up and back. All right, 2 more times, and then we'll go into the double leg lift. Up, up, down. Ready, go. Now make sure your ankle bones are trying to stay together, not just your big toes. Yeah, so we want inner thighs, ankle bones connected. It's okay if your feet kind of slide back and forth on each other. That might happen. Last 2. All right, now this time, keep the top leg up, lower just the bottom leg. And I want you to push that bottom ankle into the ground and start your tiny little circles. Yeah, so that leg is one of your main bases of support. So really stick it down. Good, now go the other way. You don't want to feel your body wobbling front to back. Stay stable. So make your circle smaller or slower if that's happening. Okay, now pause and reach the leg and then come all the way down. Whew. All right, kicking front. Ready? So bend your bottom knee, flex the top leg, 2 pulses, inhaling front. And then exhale, brush straight back right at hip height. And then again, forward, forward, and then back. Yeah, so I care more about your spine and your pelvis, what they're doing, than how big of a reach this is with your leg. Okay, so first priority is here and back. So almost pretend like you have like a little glass of water on your hip. Yes, and you don't want to go rolling around. You'll dump that water out. Yeah, so whatever you can do, keeping this balanced. Last time. Front, front, and then big. You should feel a stretch through that hip. Reach it in line with you, and then come down. Ah, all right, you guys. Okay, let's bring your knees together. Reach your hands forward, head just kind of hovering off the mat. Now open this arm like a book, lay it straight back, because you won't be up against a door. Straight arm, hand to the floor. Think of shooting the top knee more forward, and then come back and close your book. Do that again. Open. You want to make a big T with your arms, looking at the ceiling. If that back shoulder can get down, that's awesome. Okay, 1 more time. Open up to that twist. Now just kick your bottom foot forward. If you still need more stretch, slide it up towards the hand and then try to make the sole of your foot touch the floor. So your pinky toe, woo, you'll feel that go all the way up through your side leg, I bet. All right, bring the knee back, close your hands, and then come all the way up. Oh, okay, you guys, so good. So we're gonna do one super quick last little standing series. We'll cool down and then we will be done, okay? So you're gonna stand on your mat, hip width apart. Feel all 10 of your toes nice and spread on the floor. Now reach your arms up on a diagonal, okay? Make sure your knees are a little soft. Now take a breath in. You're going to sink down into a squat and leave those arms reaching, shoulders away from your ears, and then you're going to stand right back up tall. Yeah, do that again. So reaching the arms higher out of the sockets as you sink down, and then come back up. So good. A few more times, really dropping the sits bones to look at the floor behind your heels. Okay, let's do that 2 more times to feel those muscles on the sides of your hips that we just worked. You can feel like you're trying to rip your mat apart with your feet sideways. Now let's get down there and hold. Now squeeze the backs of your arms and just swing your hands behind your body as high as they'll go. Reach them back on the diagonal and then stand up. Good, do that again. We drop, we swing. Now don't change your spine or your legs. We reach to return and then we come up. 2 more times. 1, 2, squeeze the triceps. 3, 4, 1, 2, try to rip the mat in half with your feet. Now get down and hold, and we're just gonna repetitively swing to the back, to the front. Now do it with your muscles, not just with momentum. 2, last one, maybe sink a little deeper, and then stand up. Whew. Okay, now changing it up a little bit. Arms start in the same place. Take a breath in. Now when you squat, you're gonna swing your arm down and back, split to almost like a scissor, one front, one back, and then return it as you stand. And then again, exhale. Now try not to rotate your shoulders. Shoulders are square, just like they were when we did 2 arms. Yeah, 3 more, down and up. You can find your own pace. Now get down there and stay, and you're just gonna switch the arms. Feel the back of your shoulders squeezing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now reach both arms up, sink even lower, and then stand up tall. Okay, you guys, time to cool it down. So bend your knees, set your hands on the tops of your thighs. You're going to extend your spine. So we're just going to do like a standing cat stretch. You can have your fingers on the insides of your knees. Look up and stretch out your spine. Good. Now I'm going to spin my fingertips to the outside, grip on behind my thighs, round my back, and pull against my legs to feel a stretch between my shoulder blades. Do that again. Spin your fingers in, push into your thighs to look up. Spin the fingers out and back and pull against those bent legs. Good, do that a few more times. So my knees are staying bent the whole time. Drop your tail. One last time, look up and out. Good. Now from this rounded cat stretch, I just want you to release your hands, hang all the way down over your legs. Try to let go of any tension in your neck. Whew, good. Now just nod your head, yes, like a heavy pendulum. Try not to muscle it. And then shake your head, no, side to side. Good. Now hang it straight down. Try to release a little bit deeper. Soften the backs of your knees and really slowly articulate your spine all the way back up tall. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed that essential level, but still challenging mat Pilates workout. So if you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe to the channel. And if you have a friend who you think would like this, please pass it their way. Okay, and I'll see you next time. Bye.